I didn't know that I was dating my best friend's brother. So a little background information, I was 17 and a junior in high school, and we're gonna call my best friend Rima, and we're gonna call her brother Alex. So I had met Alex whenever I was in 5th grade. We never hung out outside of school. We were more of just like friends in school. But I only met Rima last year. Also, Alex was a year older than us. Well, one of the art teachers who usually taught the senior class, she just gave birth to her baby, so they decided to mix both of our classes, aka the one that Alex was in. Well, my art teacher decided to pair us all into partners and have us do an art project. So I got paired up with Alex. Fast forward, we end up liking each other and we start dating. And usually whenever Rima and I hung out, we would always hang out over my house, because she said her family was annoying, and Alex and I would only hang out during school, like for part 2. Part 2 about how I didn't know that I was dating my best friend's brother. So like I said, we always hung out at my house because she never wanted to hang out at hers, but this weekend her whole family was supposed to be gone, so she wanted to throw a party, and she was like, OMG, you should definitely invite that guy that you like. Now listen, I know you guys think it's weird that she probably didn't even know that I had a boyfriend. Whenever I had talked to people that were best friends with her before, and yes, multiple best friends. This girl went through best friends like she goes through underwear. They had all said to not let her know who you like or who you're dating, because she would either try to get with them or she would get with them. So fast forward, I get to the party. She comes up to me. She's like, my brother's here. And then she was like, oh, did you bring the guy that you like? And I was like, no. And then I walk into the living room and I see my boyfriend. So I go over and I give him a hug and a kiss, and Rima starts screaming at me. After that, she told her brother that I bullied her so that way he would break up with me, and he did.
Am I wrong for refusing to help/support my dad's pregnant stepdaughter? I am a 21 female college student. My dad's stepdaughter is 18, turning 19 soon, and expecting a baby. She has no idea who the father is, and she's been left behind by her friends who are all in college after graduating last year. She never went and stayed living with my dad and her mom. Now she's pregnant, doesn't have a job, and isn't in school, but she's planning to go now. Which, I don't know. I don't believe that, but I know my dad wants to. I transferred and I now live about an hour away from my dad. Because I'm so much closer now, he wants me to help out with his stepdaughter, give her a place to stay some nights so she can get away from their house, maybe be a sister for her, offer to be an aunt to the baby. She and I have never gotten along, and I personally think she's a spoiled brat, and I do not consider her family, even though by marriage she is. But we never treated each other like sisters and have never counted each other as such. She regrets that now. She told me as much. She realizes I have people in my life who would be there for me in a heartbeat, which she doesn't have outside her mom and my dad. I told my dad I wasn't interested, that I'm happy with my life the way it is, and I don't trust her to follow through, nor do I care enough about her to reach out. It's the honest truth. I don't care if she does try or not. She's not important to me. It upset him because he wants more for her. He wants me to want this so badly, but she wasn't part of my life for as long as she was his. I was 15 when I moved in with him after my mom died, and before that I saw him a few weeks of the year. My dad was upset but not angry. His wife, however, thinks I'm a bad egg, to quote her. She said family helps each other. Wouldn't I want to help her? The answer to that is no, because I've seen what her help leads to. Do I not long for a sister that I never otherwise had? All this stuff. Then she talks about how the baby is special and important and I should cherish her. She told me only bad eggs refuse to help.
Story time about how my friend's husband wants to hook up with me. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. It was sent to me on Instagram. I know everyone in the comment section is going to tell me not to do it, but hear me out. I've known this friend for 6 months now. Let's call her Sally. Sally and I met through some mutual friends. She's just kind of boring. The only real reason we became friends is because our dogs get along. And because they got along, we decided to set up some play dates. Most of the time I would come over to her house because she has a really big yard. So it was good for both of our dogs. FYI, I live in a small apartment, so it made sense for me to go to her house. I would go over to her house once or twice a week, but I actually didn't meet her husband until a few weeks after I started going. So like I said, my friend Sally is really boring. She always manages to take the fun out of everything. Anytime our dogs are playing, she tries to stop them from having fun. She will literally tell them to stop running in her yard where there's no one there. But here's the thing. One day her husband was finally home when I was, and as soon as we met, we were both laughing at everything we were saying. He was so funny, like the complete opposite of Sally. Let me tell you, Sally got jealous right away. In fact, she told me to stop coming over to her house. But her husband found me on Instagram. Part 2 is up. Story time about how my friend's husband keeps trying to hook up with me, and disclaimer is not my story time, was sent me on Instagram. After Sally asked me not to come back to her house, her husband found me on Instagram. Let's call him Jerry. Like I said in part 1, Jerry and I hit it off right away. We were like kindred spirits, I swear. We were not just attracted to each other, we made each other laugh. As soon as he followed me on Instagram, I DM'd him. He DM'd me right back. That's when he asked me if I wanted to go get a coffee, and of course I said yes. We ended up getting coffee the very next hour. As soon as we sat down with coffee, he started telling me exactly what he wanted. He told me that his his wife is boring, which I totally agree with. Ellie's kind of pretty, but her boring personality just takes all of that right away. So I understand him. I mean, if you guys could see me. Then he told me that he was really attracted to me and that he thought we could have fun. I asked him to be more specific, and then he asked me to go to his car with him so that we could speak privately. Went into his car, and guess what we did? Part 3 is up. Story time about how my friend's husband keeps trying to hook up with me, and I kind of want to say yes. Disclaimer, is not my story time, it's sending me on Instagram. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention in part 1 and 2 that I do have a boyfriend. We finally sat down in his car for some privacy. He went straight for it. He started trying to kiss me and grab at me, but of course, I put a stop to it. I mean, I am a respectable woman. After I got home, I really thought about it. A little background on my boyfriend and I. We've been together for 2 years, and honestly, he's a really good match with Sally. Not that he's boring, but he's just not very fun anymore, and the relationship has lost its spark. And to be honest, now that I think about it, I'm just not even attracted to him anymore. But I do feel bad for him, so I don't want to break up with him only for that reason. Which probably isn't the best reason, right? Anyway, Jerry keeps sending me messages asking me to hook up with him. He even made reservations at a really nice hotel, like a really expensive hotel. The reservation is for 3 nights from now. I do want to say yes, but I do actually feel guilty. I mean, I don't really like Sally or anything, but I did meet her first, so my loyalty should be to her, right? I also do feel bad for my boyfriend, but I truly believe that if I told him about this, he wouldn't even care.
My sister-in-law came to visit with the baby, and obviously she also brought my brother, and I don't know her very well, so I was asking her a bunch of like really simple get-to-know-you questions, like when my brother walked into your college classroom, did you immediately think, that's the one, that's the man I'm gonna have babies with? And she said, no, I thought nothing of the sort. And then I think I got my brother in trouble because I was like, well, when did you know you were in love with my brother? And she said, I don't know, it was like a gradual thing, it wasn't one specific moment. And then I turned to him and I said, when did you know you were in love with her? And he said, when you baked me cookies. And she was like, what? When I baked you cookies? Really? Then? And I was like, ooh. And then I found out that my sister-in-law and I gotta eat this. Then I found out that my sister-in-law and I are both reformed Harry Potter nerds. Like, we would wait outside the bookstores at midnight for the book to come out, play Quidditch in the park, those kinds of nerds. Now, naturally, from that point in the conversation, we started talking about how much I hate koala bears. I really hate them. My sister really doesn't like me making this public knowledge. Every time I talk about hating koala bears, she's like, stop talking about hating koala bears. Because I used to have this reoccurring dream that my family owned a koala rehabilitation center, and I would work on it with my best friend Ashley, and there were these 2 jacked up, evil looking koala bears. All the rest were nice, but there were 2 evil ones, right? And every time I opened up their cage to feed them, they would yank in my best friend Ashley and try to eat her. And I would try to rescue her, but then they would grab my arm and they'd try to yank me in to eat me as well. And the only way that I could survive was to shut the cage door, and I would let them eat Ashley. I would lock her in. I would feed them my best friend to get away. Anyway, my sister-in-law heard this story and she said, see this, you say things like this, that's why people think you're a Slytherin. I just rewatched this and realized I made my sister-in-law sound much sassier than she actually is. She is the sweetest she is so pure and kind. She is like, you know, like the vibe of a baby deer, the sweetness of it and the whole, and you're just like, everybody loves them. That's her vibe. I hope that doesn't offend her, but she's very sweet and I made her sound sassy.